if they're so advanced that they're able to go to and from and up and down at 8,000 miles per hour this way and through space and through water without any problems, you'd think they would know if a human being was being harmed by this stuff. They know a human being is being harmed by this stuff. And that's why they're doing it. So they can get the message out there, so we can try to contact them so they can start their baloney. Keep watching. Welcome to another episode of Strange Normal. My name is Brad Burnham, and we look into the strange events that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of your world that you live in. And tonight we got an amazing episode, but before we get into it, I want you to subscribe and hit that little bell, because if you don't, you won't hear and find out what the latest is about what's going on in your normal life. And if you find this information interesting, please consider donating using the links in the description. Now let's get right into it. So tonight, obviously there has been a lot of talk on the 1,500 pages that have been released by the Pentagon. And as this scenario ramps up like we know it's going to, I thought I'd kind of go over the different stories that the news has produced, because I'm obviously trying to keep this channel primarily focused on what is going on in today's society, what's going to happen in the future through the lens of the Bible. And so what's going on, I'm not going to try to get into a lot of theory. I'm not going to try to, people can say what they want when they have when they're on the show and doing their testimony or telling their story. But primarily, when I do these small, short clips to report on what's happening in the rest of the world as this thing progresses, this is just going to be just the facts, trying to get these from mainstream media, because that's really what counts right now, because that's what a lot of people see. Not a lot of people are going to go to the alternative news or the strange news outlets that are alternative to that might. Well, obviously we have seen just now that some of the alternative networks are producing the right news, but the mainstream media just didn't want to pick it up because it was too weird. But so that doesn't mean alternative news isn't correct. But it does mean that I have to look into what the mainstream is saying. So we got 3 mainstream videos tonight, and some of it's duplicate information that you've already seen in the previous video on my channel, talking about the 1,500 page report. But a lot of it's not too, and we're going to kind of go into that. I've also got, I'm going to tell you the story that straight out of Morneau's book about the priest that's having that had eye issues after one of these things appeared to him, as bright as can be. That's coming up. So, but before we get into it, I want to kind of look at this 1,500 pages. What I have in the show notes for you tonight is the 1,500 pages in PDF form that you can download. So look in the show notes. I'll also pin it, I guess they call it, to the top of the comment section, so that you can download it and you can see what exactly is going on, or what the Pentagon, what the government knows about these things that we don't actually or haven't known in mainstream. That is really interesting. If you want to pore over that, if you're really interested in what's happening, pore over these reports and get back to me, because I don't have time to read 1,500 pages about government released documents like the Sun magazine does. So anyway, let's get right into it. This is the first video from Fox. They entitle it Close Encounters. Fitting. Check this out.
A just uncovered Defense Department summary of UFO-induced effects ranging from abduction and paralysis to electrical shocks and even sexual encounters is shocking the world tonight. The report, again, is from the Defense Department. But what does this all mean? How are we supposed to interpret it when talking about UFOs? We're just starting this investigation. National correspondent William Lajeunesse shows us tonight.
Pilots tracking unidentified objects, balls of light suspended over the ocean,
balls of light,
UFOs chasing warships, all part of a growing body of sightings of UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena.
My gosh, they're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
Now comes something even more explosive, a 1,500-page Pentagon report of previously classified documents cataloging accounts from witnesses and victims,
I don't know if those are in there.
Burns, brain damage, even paralysis after close encounters
Paralysis.
with UAPs.
This is the most haunting of all the reports from my perspective, because it shows immunological deficiency. It shows altering human DNA. It shows degradation on a cellular level.
Now, I want to pause it right there just for a second. Corbell, he goes off the deep end on a lot of this stuff. He makes statements, he makes opinions. He's a little emotional, as we'll see in another video. I don't think he would be a good reporter. Sorry, Corbell, if you're watching. I don't think this is. I think you need to stick to the facts if you want to actually get a good job going here, and don't get mad at the news reporters, as we'll see.
Prepared in 2010 by the Pentagon's secret Advanced Aerospace Weapons Program, the report was released only after a Freedom of Information request. It found sufficient accidents have been accurately reported, and medical data acquired as to support a hypothesis that some advanced systems are already deployed and opaque to full U.S. understandings.
Yeah, they don't understand it.
From within the documents themselves.
The report says humans have been injured from exposure to UFOs, from abductions and perceived time loss.
I'll pause it right there. Do you look, they're showing these cylindrical ships which account for maybe 10%, if that, of the actual sightings. Most of the sightings, over 90%, if you look at the MUFON reports, are these great big round orbs of light. Obviously what the Bible says about angels, fallen and not fallen. So it makes sense to me that even the news is still inaccurately reporting this. And I don't know if that's part of the deception or not, because a lot of people, you know, we've done talks at churches and different things, and a lot of people come up and they say, well, I don't know if I can believe this because because how would you have these cylindrical ships in the sky, these metal discs? Well, you know, I have a theory, but this show isn't about theories. But primarily the facts say that they are round, cylindrical, bright objects, and perhaps that's how they get around. Perhaps this is how God created them, to get around in this bubble, to get away all the way and come back through space. This might be just the mode of transportation. Not saying it's technology, but maybe it's part of their physiology. Who knows? Let's continue.
To sexual encounters and unexplained pregnancies.
We're talking about an area where there is intervention with the human being on such a level that it's beyond just negative health effects. Some of this stuff is really bizarre.
So what's next? While this program ended in 2010, Corbell says the Pentagon continues to study UFOs, and more military videos and documents are likely to be released this year. No response from the Pentagon. Brett?
Okay, William. Thank you. We will continue to follow this story and get any updates that we can.
I like how he ended that. We will continue to follow this story. A very solemn report, very interesting. But that's not the only one. So we got another one here, and check this out.
The Pentagon this week releasing over 1,500 pages worth of previously classified documents generated by the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, which is the largest military-funded program in history devoted to studying the phenomena of UFOs. Some pretty incredible stuff is inside all those pages, including a report of the health impact on humans who have had paranormal experiences or been in contact with UFOs. The report says UFO sightings can leave witnesses suffering from burns, hair loss, headaches, nausea, insomnia, and more. Jeremy Corbell is investigative documentary filmmaker and editor of Extraordinary
He doesn't even
Beliefs.
want to talk about anything else.
He joins us now. Jeremy, good to see you again. What did you make of this week's document dump? What's the big headline that came out of this?
Yeah, look, this is really interesting. Now people are catching up. So contrary to what the New York Times reported and other outlets kind of parroted, the government-funded UFO program that received the $22 million, that was called OSAP, not ATIP. ATIP came after. So with these reports, it's one of the many things that were generated out of this $22 million. They had 50 full-time employees. They generated over 200 different reports, but this is 38 technical reports that are defense intelligence reference documents. One of those reports is pretty haunting. It deals with the biological effects of close proximity to UFOs. So that was what was picked up now recently by the media, but this isn't that new. George Knapp, he released a number of these prior to when they just came out through FOIA. So it's been out there, but it's very shocking what's contained in these DIA documents.
Well, and tell us, I mean, these people say that they came in contact with a UFO. I mean, this is a Pentagon report, right? And they say that, and then they have these different symptoms. Tell us about them.
Right. So it is very shocking in that out of these 38 reports, or these technical reports, that this one focuses on biology. What they found is that having close proximity to these UFOs or UAPs, that there's extreme forms of radiation burn, that you have mental and cognitive dissociative issues. It goes down onto a cellular level where the body is affected. Now, it is suspected that this is not an overt act of hostility, but rather this is some sort of interaction with the advanced propulsion systems that the Pentagon is just furiously trying to figure out how they operate.
And just let me just interject, just for people that don't follow it as close as you and I do, these propulsion systems we're talking about, when they see these UFOs, and we've had naval aviators see these things, and they move in a way that makes no sense. The way that we propel things, they can move, they can stop in midair and go back and forth and up and down in ways that we can't figure out as the most advanced country in the world. We can't figure it out. And you're saying that people are coming into contact with that, and they're having these weird adverse health effects.
Well, I don't know what's going on. These things are just causing all kinds of chaos and having these health effects. But they're benevolent. They're so kind. It's just because they're getting too close to them, and we just need to be careful. If they're so advanced that they're able to go to and from and up and down at 8,000 miles per hour this way and through space and through water without any problems, you think they would know if a human being was being harmed by this stuff. They know a human being is being harmed by this stuff. And that's why they're doing it. So they can get the message out there, so we can try to contact them, so they can start their baloney. Keep watching.
That's one of the aspects they're coming in contact with that was studied by the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Department of Defense. The majority of these papers are about aerospace, aviation tech, warp drive, gravity waves, metamaterials, all sorts of high-tech, futuristic projections. And the reason why is because these things outpace, outmaneuver, and outperform our greatest war machines. This is something we need to know from a national security standpoint, and our Pentagon is on it.
You've had scientists sending messages. They've sent it in 1974. They sent messages out into space. A new team from NASA wants to send on an updated message and perhaps a map, I guess, on how to find us in the universe. That's a little scary because we don't know what these people might, or these aliens may want, right? 10 seconds. Well,
we don't know what these are, but we also don't need to worry about that. Our government has admitted that UFOs are real, that they're here, and that they represent an advanced machinery wherever they are from. So it doesn't matter about sending anything out. Whatever it is, it's been here a long time.
It's been here a long time. He ended that on a good point. I agree with what Corbell says, at least this part right here. These things have been there a long time. Yeah, they're quarantined to this planet right now. They've been here a long time observing us. They've gone into hiding since the 1700s, according to Roger Morneau, maybe longer. I mean, man, how can you think they're from so far away and these things have alien craft that can go through space? They've been here a long time because we know what they are. The Bible says what they are. The next video I have is from Australia. I don't know why that wasn't an Australian accent. Check this out.
To the Pentagon now, where officials have been forced to release an explosive report about UFOs under Freedom of Information laws. Now, the new documents lift the lid on a secretive intelligence program which was run by the United States Defence Force and employed more than 50 agents.
50. The UFO hunters researched health impacts on humans who reported paranormal experiences. And the findings are downright spooky. Investigative filmmaker Jeremy Corbell joins us live from LA to make sense of it all. Jeremy, great to see you again. Now, this new report says UFO sightings left witnesses with burns, nausea and nerve damage. What do you make of the claims?
It's so condescending. This is where Jeremy gets a little upset with these guys because and I have to admit, if you were being lied to constantly and you were saying you were crazy and you were saying, no, I really do believe this stuff, and then someone in the news, mainstream media, didn't want to look stupid, so they made you look stupid-er, I guess is the word, stupider. Stupider. I would be upset too. And so this is like a built up over time thing, but I think he should have held his cool. He could have said a lot worse things, I guess, but man, Jeremy, this kind of shows you the mindset behind these UFOologists.
Yeah, this is pretty incredible. So first of all, everybody's got this wrong. The New York Times even reported it improperly. The secret UFO study was called AAWSAP, Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program. It received the $22 million, not ATIP. Now, they generated over 200 reports, but 38 of these reports were technical documents, and one of those documents really stands out. And that document talks about the biological effects of human beings who come into close proximity with a UFO. And there's a lot of negative health effects that have now been revealed by this secret government UFO program, the biggest program of all time. This includes radiation burns. It includes, on a cellular level, people being harmed, as well as cognitive damage to people. So it's very haunting.
But they're benevolent.
So do we have to assume then that UFOs are real if we're then looking at physical effects from from being exposed?
Yeah, look, if people don't know that UFOs are real yet, then they haven't been paying attention. Our government, including your government, has admitted that there are machines in our skies that outpace, outmaneuver, and outperform anything of our advanced weaponry. It is something that the Defense Intelligence Agency, our government, your government, they're all studying because it's perplexing. Who made these machines? What are they doing? What is the intent? Who's operating them? UFOs are as real as the nose on your face.
Yeah.
Oh, he's building.
Okay. Let me be devil's advocate here. They could be something from another country, though. Could be a different type of aeroplane or a missile or whatever.
That would be incredible. But the problem with that is that UFOs have been engaging humanity since the beginning of recorded human history. This isn't a new phenomenon. Our government is studying them, and they've actually looked into that. They've said it's not ours, it's not Russian, it's not Chinese, it's not Australian, it's no technological nation that we know. These machines are so far advanced to anything that we can even conceive of that, unfortunately, your theory is off the table at this point.
Okay, so how concerned then? We say UFOs are real and that it's real that you can have physical effects, physical harm from it. So how concerned should we be going about our daily lives?
I don't think it's a matter of concern. It's a rare occurrence, and typically this does not look like an overt hostility. This seems to be an interaction with whatever the propulsion system is, the method that these things move and fly.
Opinion. Can you say opinion on mainstream media news? Let's stick to the facts, people. It's an opinion. Oh, these things look like the propulsion system. That's baloney. That these things are so advanced, we know what they are. These things are advanced. They're stronger than us. They're wiser than us. They've lived longer than us. You'd think they'd know if a human being was in its proximity and might be burned. Yeah, if you're going to harm God's creation, you got to verify that with God first. My goodness, people. Oh, it's a propulsion system. We just don't need to get close to them. No, that's their fault. It's the advanced being's fault if he harms something else. Oh my goodness.
That is what it's believed, that these things demonstrate a gravitational propulsion system. So there's some interaction with human biology that seems to occur when you come into close proximity. It's nothing to fear, but it's definitely something that needs to be studied from a global and national security point of view.
So is there a common time that this contact occurs, like after the pub closes or something like that?
Always on Wednesdays. No. There's not a common time. This was studied military encounters, right? That's something that the follow-up program called ATIP did, is they were studying military encounters. We all know about the Tic Tac UFO case. It's the most famous UFO case of all time. This is something that occurs regularly with an increased frequency, but not just on Wednesdays or after people leave the pubs.
Okay, all right.
All right. Nice try, though. Hey, Jeremy, great to talk to you. It's always so interesting.
Great to talk to you, and thank you for covering this.
Yeah, thank you.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, what kind of time do we live in that we get this constantly happening in the news? I mean, if you're seeing this come out of the woodwork, it's like termites. Oh, you have termites because you can see them on the outside of the wood? Chances are that's not a good sign, and it's infected the internal as well. Now, if you're seeing them on the outside, that means it's over. It's done. We're at the end of time. It's only a matter of time which one of these things stops a disaster, whether it be man-made or natural, and then says, you know, I have come to save you, and I've been watching you, and I'm helping you, and you better do something proper, otherwise something bad's going to happen. Now, like I said, I put these notes, all 1,500 pages, PDF files, out on the link in the description so you can see them too. Look over them. Tell me what you find, because like I said, I don't have time to read all this stuff, but I do want to put out more videos to explain what you have found. And if you want me to, I'll give credit to whoever has found the most interesting stuff in here. Email me at bradburnham@protonmail.com. That's in the little description down there. And you can tell me whatever you find. It'd be fascinating to look through this stuff. And as I promised, let's talk about Morneau. Morneau wrote a book. He was a former demonic worshiper that wrote a book about what happened when he came to Christ. He found the truth, and he revealed what all he saw in these worship sessions through this thick book that's really interesting. And I'll put that in the description too if you want to read the rest of this. But what's really fascinating is these two paragraphs. Now, this begins when he first got into the elite spirit worshipers, as he called them. And they would give each person a special ability according to what they wanted. And as he was welcomed into this society, the satanic priest basically came up to him, and that's where we're beginning in the story. So let me read. As the high priest welcomed the arrivals, he gradually made his way towards us. George made the introduction. George is the person that's giving Morneau the in to this society. George says, "Reverend, I would like you to meet a couple of fine gentlemen." He then engaged us in discussion, as mentioned, some details about our past that was known to no one else but us. This made quite an impression on us. Not only his words, but also his very presence reflected the air of mystery and secrecy. He had piercing eyes, a bald head, and deep low voice, which he accompanied by an occasional chuckle as he talked. His physical size was overwhelming. I would say that he was equal in size to the late Charles de Gaulle. Now, what's interesting is this is not a demon. This is not a spirit. This is just the sadistic priest that is over this general of spiritual worshipers. Anyway, it goes on like this. I recall that at a later time, the high priest informed us that some time back, while he was in Chicago, a spirit appeared to him saying about Roger Morneau and his buddy Roland. George has invited them to the service, and the one that's in charge while you are away is not cooperating. He's going to wreck all the groundwork that the spirits have done for the last few years to get these two gentlemen into the society. So the high priest immediately picked up the phone and called Montreal to straighten things out. He told me that the angel that appeared to him was so bright that he could not look upon him. After he picked up the phone to dial, he couldn't even dial the phone number because of the fact that his vision was so terribly blurred by the brightness of the angelic being. So he dialed 0, and the operator came on, and she was asked to dial for him. You see, these things emit such a radiation, such a brightness, and they can control how much they emit too. We've seen angels in Scripture that appear to men, and they look just like regular men. And I would even go as far, this is opinion, but if you read Scripture, these things are biological, but they don't have the same, they have different abilities that we don't have. They have the ability to fly. They have the ability to sense things that we don't. they have the ability to stay alive. Maybe their food is different. I don't know. But what's fascinating about this whole thing is right here, it tells you these things can control the brightness that comes off them. And the MUFON reports are telling us 90%, about 90%, are experiencing and looking at these glowing orbs. That is exactly what Morneau's story is about. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, stay tuned. There's a lot more coming because now that the termites are out of the woodwork, you can expect this to go off the wall. See you next time.